There have been tributes paid to 2 members of the Yorkshire Ambulance Service who've died after contracting coronavirus. The role of paramedics has become increasingly dangerous in recent months. They're the first point of contact for patients who've become seriously ill with the virus. Our correspondent Emma Vardy has spent a day with paramedics in Northern Ireland, where many are now living in hotels to keep their families safe.
COVID positive. It's a COVID positive.
In the battle against the virus, these are the emergency responders when symptoms become too much. They never know quite what they're heading towards, and saving lives now carries its own risk. The first call is to a care home. It's a rush to put on protective equipment when every second counts.
We know it's a 93-year-old male. He's taken on well. He is COVID positive. That's really unfortunately all we know right now until we go in.
Every day, paramedics have to make difficult decisions about who they take to hospital. This time, the patient remains at the home.
He's 9 days positive. And with dementia, it's hard as well because they don't understand. And what's COVID to a 93-year-old?
Paramedics now carry a heavier burden than ever. Because of the pandemic, they're often the last people families see when loved ones are taken away.
The sad situation now is no matter what you're going into hospital with, you're going in on your own. May it be COVID, may it be a heart attack, may it be a stroke, may it be an accident. You're going in on your own.
As the crew goes out.
That's us.
In Northern Ireland alone, the ambulance service is receiving up to 300 COVID-related calls each day.
Your chest and your breathing, yeah. Your heart might be going a wee bit faster than normal. Just a lady dealing with COVID symptoms the last 8 days, managing at home. Just felt this morning maybe just a wee bit of shorter breath.
While our health services attempt to weather the storm of coronavirus, other hazards in life continue too.
We're going to a 25-year-old RTC down a ditch. It makes it a wee bit different. You're actually happy to see a different type of call compared to, bear with me, we're around here somewhere. There we go, we're right at it. Wow.
I was slamming on the horn and shouting and nobody could hear me. I was like, how am I going to get out of here?
Darling, you were very lucky to have got out of there.
She somehow managed to crawl out through the front windscreen and got herself to the verge.
She's very settled, honestly, she is. Yeah.
Normally, family would travel in the ambulance.
I love somebody who's looking after you.
But despite the ordeal, they must go home.
Unfortunately, you cannot go to the hospital.
No.
And it's hard. I appreciate it's hard.
It's all right.
It's all right.
All right.
Okay,
Sorry.
listen, take care. All right. The child doesn't even have a phone. Her phone's in that car. So even she's anxious. She's down here on her own. Being strapped up, like that's scary.
The virus is an ever-present fear. 27 frontline ambulance staff in Northern Ireland have tested positive for coronavirus, and hundreds more off work with suspected cases across the UK.
I think they're absolutely amazing. I don't know how they do it. Especially now more than ever, like putting their own health at risk and their family's health at risk.
Caution, patient tail lift.
For today, the paramedics' work is over. It's draining, a 12-hour shift. What's striking is the personal sacrifices many are making to keep going. To protect her family, Tina has moved into a hotel.
I miss my daughter. And I miss my parents that live across the street. I miss home.
That report by our Ireland correspondent Emma Vardy. Now, the vast majority of victims of COVID-19 have been people who are elderly. So far, it seems that children are generally spared the worst effects of the illness. Scientists are trying to work out why this is and whether children can spread the virus even if they don't have any symptoms. Our science editor David Shookman has more.
A mystery about the virus is the role of children. A small number suffer, some have lost their lives, but the vast majority aren't affected. So how easily can they spread it to others? To try to find out, 3,500 children are being tested in a project led by the University of Oxford.
We know that not many children are being admitted to hospital or becoming unwell with this illness, and that's fantastic. But it's important to understand how many children are getting the infection, albeit in a mild form, because they may potentially be transmitting it onto others and therefore become a source of spread within the community.
So far, there's been very little research into this. One of the largest studies of 2,000 infected children in China found 51% had mild symptoms, 39% were moderate, and just over 4% had no symptoms at all. But in Iceland, a different kind of study found that of 848 children under the age of 10, none of them had any sign of infection. So what does this confusing research mean for schools? In Denmark, where they've reopened, the children are kept apart in classes. But once outside, they of course crowd together. The risk to them might be low, but it's greater for the teachers.
When we think about opening schools and having large gatherings of kids, although we don't know how well and how fast this virus might spread in the group, we do know that the adults working with these kids, the teachers, the administrators, are more susceptible to this severe COVID-19.
When it comes to reopening schools, there are no easy options. Hours maybe can be staggered, class sizes kept smaller, but the central question remains: how easily do children spread the disease, especially if they're not showing any symptoms? And scientists, for the moment, do not have the answer.
Time and time again, you'll hear our political leadership saying that we are guided by best evidence. There has to be an understanding that sometimes that evidence, even though it's the best evidence, is pretty thin.
No.
Despite that, Switzerland reckons it's safe for under 10s to hug their grandparents. Many scientists disagree, warning that with this new virus, there's still so much we don't know. David Schuckman, BBC News.